Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good and the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Rafe, and it is a grand and glorious day again today because I get to do a podcast with Harry. Harry, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I've had a long day at work, but they say in the podcast circles that the grind doesn't stop, so that's why I'm here tonight.
That is a thing. I have to say that is it would be wonderful to have. Well, I don't know. I don't think it would be wonderful to have grind stop. I think the grind going is what keeps you going, and it keeps us pursuing the good and pursuing the adventure of life. And that's one reason we keep doing this thing. And we do this. Check this segue. We do this all for the listeners. All right. Without you guys, we would not be the global top 10% podcast that we are, and we are eternally grateful for your what's it called when they keep doing it in
patronage?
Your enduring patronage, I think is what it is. We appreciate your enduring patronage. You didn't even know you were doing that for us, but yes, you are. So we are grateful. It is a joy to be speaking with you, and it's wonderful to get your responses to us. We love hearing from you. As always, you can get to us at bufnagle@bufnagle.com, and you can, you know what we really like, though, Harry? You know what we really like them to do?
I'm probably guessing one of those 5-star review
One
things.
of those 5-star reviews would be just awesome possum. And that would be a great thing to give us. And the little smiley star, the like, the share with your friend. Share the love, share the buff. That would be a great thing because, who doesn't need a little bit more buff every week? So did I cover all those things?
I think that's about it.
I think I covered all of them. I used to have a script, and I used the script, and then I started deviating from the script, and now I'm back to no script. And Zach would be all over me.
Zach would probably be berating you. We'd be restarting.
Make me stop, and we'd restart. Yeah, that's right.
We're just going to go ahead and continue here.
Yes, we are. This is the new and improved buff. This is how we roll these days. So, okay, I talked a long time ago about small towns. Know your history in your hometown. There's one of the episodes in the past is know the history that you have, and I spoke a little bit about Hartford, Wisconsin, where I grew up, and that the Rossman brothers dammed up the Rubicon River at the falls there in what is now downtown Hartford, and they built a dam, and they built a mill pond, and then they kind of disappeared into history, with the exception of Rossman Street. That was behind our house. But in 1970 or 71, probably 1970, I bet, they built a new school on our side of town, and it was named Rossman Elementary School. So just keep that in mind, Harry. If you ever do something great, they might
I might have an elementary school named after me.
Bufnagle Elementary. All right, but they did, and I went to school there for I guess their first 5 or 6 years, depending how you count it, up to grade 5. And it was a new school, Harry. It had the library was in the middle of the building, and there were 4, I guess they were wings that kind of stuck out from each end. And one wing had the gymnasium and the cafeteria, which kind of doubled as a gymnasium. And one wing had kindergarten, first grade, one had second grade, third grade, one had fourth grade, fifth grade. And the library was one of my favorite places to be. I just loved the library, and I loved when they taught us how to alphabetize titles and things like that so we could find the books that we wanted. It was a joyful day in my life to learn how to do that. And every day when I went to the library, Harry, on the wall of the library was a picture that I saw. And I didn't know this at the time, but it wasn't a picture. It wasn't the picture. It was a print of a picture, okay? Because the picture currently sits in...
It doesn't reside at Rossman Elementary.
It resides outside of Paris at the Musée d'Orsay, or however you say it. at the museum there. It is a painting by Jean-Francois Millet, or Millet, maybe, might be. I don't even know how to read. This is what they should have had.
It probably says, it's probably Millet, right?
Well, it's Millet, Millet, but I looked up how do you pronounce it because I wanted to say it right. And then it had all of these weird looking letters that tell you how to pronounce words. And I think it's Millet, just like that, or something like that. It's Millet. Right? And he was a French painter in the middle, what is that? The 19th century, middle of the 19th century. And he painted this painting 1857 to 1859. And those of you who went to Rossman Elementary School with me, you know this painting. You know exactly where it's at. When you came up from the hallway, from the main office where the gymnasium was, that area upright, it was on the right when you walked into the library. It was right up on the right there, above the carols that sat along the wall. And the picture is the Angelus, which is one of his famous ones. It was commissioned by an American painter and an art collector who commissioned the painting and then never showed up to pick it up. I don't know.
And we're all the better for it.
Yeah, I guess we are. And so, anyway, it's a picture, and I'm sure you guys have all seen this here, and you have seen this before we had this discussion. Right?
I'm sure. Yeah.
And it is two French peasants in a field, in a farmer's field, and there's a pitchfork. There's a man. The man is on the left, facing us, and the woman is kind of facing him and looking down. And between them is a basket of potatoes, and behind them is a wheelbarrow of sorts. And there's a pitchfork sunk into the ground, and they are obviously harvesting potatoes. And behind them, and they're standing there. Okay, so he's holding his hat in his hands, kind of looking rather somber and looking down at the ground. And the woman has her head bowed and her hands clasped in prayer at her chest. And behind the lady, if you look very carefully, you see very in the distance on the hill is a church steeple, and it is almost not there. It is a couple simple strokes of the brush, and you can see there's some town stuff back there, and the sun is setting behind the man. And they are standing there praying the Angelus, which is a prayer that you say, depending on who you are, you say it never, or you say it sometimes, or you say it 3 times a day. The devout peasants in France in the mid 1850s would say it 3 times a day, once at sunrise, once at noon, and once in the evening. And you were reminded to say that prayer by the bells would ring in the church, and that would encourage you to say the prayer.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not. It is not my favorite painting.
Well, that's
right.
That,
so it's simple, right?
Well,
and it conveys an easy message. It's good because it's simple.
Yep.
It's good because it conveys a message of the good, right? And it's relatively understood.
Well, see, but this is for as a little kid, as a 5, 6, 7-year-old wandering through Rossman Elementary School library. I'll tell you what struck me about this painting. I would look at this painting and I would say, oh, there's a man and there's a lady. And at their feet is a basket that holds the child of theirs that has passed. And they are out there for a funeral. That's what I thought. That
unless you look closely, you might.
Right. And
you see the same thing.
If you look this up on the interwebs, you'll see multiple images of this at different levels of lighting, right? Some of the lighting, like this image I'm looking at right now, has very good color in it. And you can see his pants are bright blue, right? And do you see that? Do you see his pants bright blue?
I do. Yeah, the pitchfork is also blue.
Yep.
The woman's, her elbows are slightly copper color compared to the rest of her dress, which is dark brown.
Yep. And you can even see there's light actually shining almost through the back of her skirt, like it's where it kind of hangs. It's very yes. light. There's a lot of light here, okay, behind. But I always thought that was a baby there that had died. I thought this is a bizarre painting to have in an elementary school. I remember thinking that as a kid, and apparently, okay, this is where the story gets interesting.
Apparently, you're not alone.
Apparently, I'm not alone. And you know who is in my camp? None other than Salvador Dali. Right? All right. And we have talked about Dali in our episode about Midnight in Paris, where Gil meets Dali and a bunch of other people of his ilk, I should say, in 1920s Paris. But apparently Dali saw this painting, or a picture of it, in his school as well as a kid, and he was spooked by it because he thought the same thing I did.
Goodness, as if we aren't all spooked by his artwork.
But he has made versions of this painting, right, in Dali format. Mm-hmm. Right? He said he thought that there was a baby in the basket, and he thought that the woman was a praying mantis.
Well, she is certainly praying.
She is praying,
but I don't think that's the right spelling.
She is not a mantis. Which, are you thinking about the Portal game right now?
Well, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, but so this is an interesting thing, and I've read somewhere, and I couldn't find it today, but I have read in the past that conjecture about the baby there, or whether it's a harvest or whether it's a funeral, it was not an uncommon take on this painting, and the I think Dali encouraged them to like X-ray the painting and look at like the different layers of stuff in there. And apparently this is not the first, that basket there is not there is something underlying that is consistent with the hypothesis that these are grieving parents and not just harvesting parents. But anyway, I see this painting and I just, this reminds me of, well, like you said, of simpler times, of a quiet, devout, openly lived faith, not just by them, but the whole village, right? And the bells ring and they remind you of that. And I keep thinking of things like, everything in this podcast kind of fits together, at least for me, because I'm
you do a lot of the speaking, right?
But so so two things. One of them is I think of like this daylight savings time fiasco that we are currently in here in Westfield, Indiana. We are now in daylight savings time. We are just short of 2 hours ahead of mean solar time. 2 hours ahead. We're 2 hours ahead. So if we're on a 12-hour day right now, which is we are now about with the equinox going on.
Well,
that
equinox happened yesterday, right?
What was that? Equinox was see, we're recording
yesterday.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 20-something second. It was the 21st. Yeah. So okay, but if it's 12 hours, then you should have 6 hours before noon and 6 hours after noon.
Yes.
Right? Our sun gets up after 8 o'clock in the morning. We have 4 hours of daylight before. Right. And we have 8 hours of daylight afterwards. And some people love that because they get to stay up, they stay up when it's dark but they stay up when it's light and they get up when it's dark. And for some reason that's better for them. But the more and more I think about this, I think of like, back when I'm looking at the painting here, these, whoever these guys are, Claude and Marie or whoever these people are, they were local people. And when the bell rang, that's what time it was. And I keep thinking, why are we setting our clocks to this gigantic national, international standard when, like, what am I, other than you and I calling to get together to do this podcast, it didn't really matter what time it was. I'm
sure international trade has something to deal with it.
Well, yes. And I know the planes have to fly and not hit each other. And I got all that, but it seems bizarre that instead of having the bell ringing to tell us what time it is, right? That we have these clocks that are set completely antithetical to what's going on in our nature. But the other thing I think is just, a quarter of a mile or half mile to my west is the church tower there at St. Maria Goretti. And that rings in the morning and it rings at noon. And then it rings and it rings every hour and every quarter hour or something like that. And if I'm outside, I can hear the bells. And whenever the bells ring, I think of the Angelus, and I think that that's how these small communities were organized.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because they're still within the community, right? They obviously have their own plot of land here. They're doing their own thing. They are taking a break from their work for prayer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's really interesting is they're taking a break from work for prayer away from the church, right? Implying that there's something else beyond just your typical, okay, I go to church on Sunday and I check the block and I'm done.
What do they call it? A lived experience. It's a full-time lived experience for them. Is this component of their faith? And you can argue, you can say, well, they shouldn't have to do that if the bell rings. But you know what? Maybe they want to do that. Maybe they really like to do that. And I agree. They should not be burned at the stake if they don't say the Angelus. Right? And I'm fully in agreement with that. But this is a simple time where people did simple things, but they weren't necessarily simple people. There were a lot of people back in the day who were quite bright, who knew lots of things for them. And just because we have internet technology now doesn't mean we've advanced. I mean, look at how we behave. All right. We could do a lot more prayers over a basket of potatoes at sunset than fights on the subway. It seems to me like there's something to be said for for that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we've been caught up in modern day materialism, the constant need to do something. Right? I've got 2 little kids now, right? So some parenting things is you have to teach your kids how to learn how to be bored.
I read that. Did you read that? Where did I read that?
I don't know. I see it all over the place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's okay to not be stimulated.
You don't have to have the TV on. You don't have to listen to this podcast. Boop. Oh, just kidding.
We're still here. Yeah, you should listen to the podcast.
You don't have to do those things. And I think, taking 30 seconds or the Angelus, so taking 3 minutes out of your day, that's probably a good thing to do. You recenter yourself and you reset. And it doesn't have to be a prayer, right? Maybe you're listening to this podcast and you know what? I am so anti-religion, it's insane. But Aristotle really resonates with me.
Yeah, well then think about the good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's have you found yourself I remember where I was driving one day and I came to a stoplight and I was thinking, shoot, I'm going to sit here for 45 seconds and not do anything. I'm not going to read. I'm not going to check the ball scores. I'm not going to check the stuff.
I have sometimes the opposite problem.
Okay.
So I've realized I'm okay with doing the nothing.
You are okay. Okay.
I'm okay with that. Sometimes on my drive to work, I don't listen to any music.
Yeah.
I don't listen to any podcast. I turn it off. It's muted and off. And I just drive. And that's okay. But sometimes I find myself in the opposite issue, which is I listen to something or I want to listen to something on YouTube and it's a 15-second advertisement. Are you kidding me? 15-second advertisement? Who's got time for 15 seconds?
I keep coming back to that. So those of you out there, we are quoting in the background very loosely the Calvin and Hobbes episode where was he making a frozen dinner?
He's making a frozen dinner that takes, I think, like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and he says 3 minutes. Who's got that kind of time? And as Calvin, 6-year-old, right? And that's right, a 15-second YouTube commercial. Who's got that kind of time? I see that with the 5-second ads, Harry. If I'm watching I watched a film tonight about this company that's learning how to do drone delivery, right? And for those of you out there who would like to see that, there's this company I think it's based in California. I'm sure it is, but they have offices and a footprint, I guess I would say it, in a couple African countries, Ivory Coast, Rwanda, was Congo in there? A number of places.
Get that far.
Yeah, and then some in the U.S. And what they do is they have these drones that they're not like the drones that we have with a little helicopter picks up
quadcopter. Yeah,
not a quadcopter. These are like flying airplane drones, and they're a logistics company, and they house your warehouse for you. And then you need something, you go on the interwebs, you say, I need 2 units of O positive blood. You hit the button, and within 90 seconds, the people over at the warehouse, 80 miles away, have loaded the 2 packs of blood into a special cooled container that they stick in the belly of a small drone airplane. And then they launch this thing off a launch rail. Like, I don't know, what do you launch off a launch rail these days, Harry? Just drones, I guess, right?
Drones, yeah, probably.
And then at this point, the drone's at full speed. It flies to the hospital on GPS thing. When it gets over the hospital, it opens a thing. It drops the package out with a pair. Have you watched this? Did I have you watch this?
I haven't gotten that far.
Oh, okay. But it opens up and the package falls out with a parachute and lands on the lawn of the hospital. So we
It probably says with like a note that says "Love you."
Yes. And then the plane. Okay, get this. The plane goes back to the logistics center and gets caught in this. Like the GPS thing has these two sticks with a line between it, and it kind of snags it, kind of like an aircraft landing in an aircraft carrier, but much more sophisticated. It catches the plane. The plane hangs there. Guys walk out. They take the wings off. They take the thing apart, put it back in there, take the battery out, put a new battery in, and they do this thing every 90 seconds. They're launching one of these drones to deliver medical supplies across Rwanda, and they've been doing this, Harry, for 6 years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's like, oh, that's a great thing. And so next time you need your Wendy's burger delivered.
Well, here's a segue for you. What if I wanted to deliver a picture of the Angelus?
Well, we can do that now. We have this interweb, and it just delivered it.
Yeah, I got a printer over here too, don't I?
Yeah, I print it right. So this is interesting because it has to be because I was thinking, well, I would love to use this to deliver something. What do I have to deliver? Oh, I have podcast episodes, so that they're automatically going out. But these are like small items you would need, and like they've been saving lives in Rwanda for 6 years with this technology, and they've done millions of these flights. It was incredible to see.
That's pretty awesome.
It's called Zipline, and I think the website is something like flyzipline.com, something like that. So if you are a business that delivers things like one at a time in, what do they call it? In what they delivered in real time? Is that what it is?
Probably
at point of need kind of thing for delivery. Then these guys probably help you out. It was incredible. But you know what? I want to go back to the Angelus here, to the painting, right? Because there's the other thing that I saw about this painting, other than the fact that it's potatoes and not a baby, is the guy's shoes. Do you see his shoes?
Oh yeah, they're like loafers, aren't they?
Well, they're gigantic shoes. His shoes are like 3 times the size of the lady's shoes. And I zoomed in on them, just thinking maybe it's just kind of fuzzy on my computer or something. No, but these are like, I'm going to have to investigate French shoes.
They look like small boats.
They are. They are really big shoes. And it might be, the other thing I was thinking though, when you walk around and it's muddy and your shoes get all sorts of mud on them and they get really, really big, I think they look like muddy shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're like a 10-year-old kid, and your mom says play outside, but then forgets that it's going to rain in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, or it has rained, and you're outside, and next thing you know, you guys are absolutely filthy. Yeah. Not that you guys ever did that.
No, never.
No, not a chance. But anyway, your shoes get real big like that, and I guess I'm there's this. Well, we talked about it in Midnight in Paris. There's this desire to go back in time to an age that appears to be perfect for you, and this is a temptation for me. But on the other hand, there's a lot of stuff that they had to go through that I don't think I want to go through.
I don't think they have a polio vaccine.
They don't have a polio vaccine. I'm pretty sure they don't, and I know they don't have ice in their fridge because they don't have a fridge, and they don't have electricity. And so there are some things that I really, really like about living in the age that we're living. But I think the trick is to take the good that's in there and bring it forward to where we are now, and figure out how that good can be manifest now with all the technology and all the other things that we have going. I have to think that life, like that, because some of that probably sucked. I'm sure, like the fact that I was thinking that I might be a baby because back in then the infant mortality was really high and antibiotics are pretty good. How do we take the wisdom that they had and apply it now? That's the question, and that's the trick. And it seems, there's an Angelus app, Harry. You can get it for your phone.
Send your reminders.
Yeah, it's like a reminder, and the reminder goes off every 6 hours. I think 6 a.m., noon, 6 p.m. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. Or I'm sure you can set it for other things if you want, and you can do the Angelus just like, what did I call them? Claude and Marie.
Claude and Marie, yeah.
Claude and Marie. You can do it just with Claude and Marie in there with their basket of potatoes. Should they be potatoes in France in 1850? Were there potatoes in France?
You probably took them from Ireland.
Well, they took them from the Americas, so there was nothing new. That is a great thing. It's like when we go around the world and find all these other things, you get potatoes, you get tacos, you get crepes. That's a wonderful thing about how we live.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful thing. So I don't know. Is there a painting that speaks to you? Do you have one like this?
I don't have something like this. Right. I've got the big Jesus painting in the dining room.
You do have that one, and that
one's a little bit, in a way, it's a little bit more harsh and more.
It's not subtle.
No, it's not in any way subtle. It's the name of the painting is "Peace is Coming" by John McNaughton.
Yeah, so he's a modern painter, right?
He's a modern painter.
Yep.
So mine is obviously a print, but it's Christ in the center in a golden robe with warriors of history from different armies putting their weapons down
and bowing before him, right?
And bowing before him, right?
And so like Genghis Khan's in there, and Julius Caesar's in there, and
not historical figures, but
generalized
figures of armies of history.
So they're all in there.
Everyone's in there, and Satan's in there too.
Oh, is he really?
Satan's in there, but he's fleeing.
He's fleeing, as he should. That's what he does.
That's right.
All right. So you've had that for quite a while.
Yeah, I've had that since 2016.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, that's a nice one, and that's but they all tell stories, right? They all have stories around them, and you
sure.
So was there something like, I got to imagine there was decent amounts of art and stuff hanging around West Point stuff. I mean, there were statues.
Oh, there's tons.
But were there paintings and things like
there is?
This was in Rossman School, Harry. This was
no. West Point has its. There's the massive mural of famous commanders.
Oh, really?
General leaders. Yeah, it's a giant mural of military history, right? With famous generals, right? I think Constantine's on there. Joan of Arc is on there. Napoleon is there.
And what building is that in?
That's in the mess hall.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, there's Washington right there in the front center on the left, right?
Yep.
Wait, who is that? Gates on the left?
Yep.
And who's on the right there?
Meade.
Who's that?
General Meade.
See, I don't even know that. Were you guys forced to study that sort of thing?
No, but there used to be an old rumor of I don't think it happens anymore, but cadets would, so all of the wings are broken up into regiments.
Yep.
And the plebes, the freshmen from other regiments who don't sit in that wing, there used to be a thing where they would run up, they would touch the mural, and then they would try to escape.
Oh, so like, okay, and so the idea is like if somebody touches the mural, you have to like
defend the mural. Yeah,
defend the mural. Well, that is the thing. So if any of you have ever been to West Point, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you should go to the mess hall. It's like how many they feed all the cadets.
42, 4,400.
3 times a day.
At the same time in 20 minutes.
And it's a remarkable bit of logistics there. Maybe you should have the little drones deliver things to the cadets there. That would be something. All right. So that's the Angelus by Jean-Francois Millet, a painting and a print that everybody should know, I think, and it should hang in your school so the children will be confused by that. I think, at this, like I said, Harry, that was 50 some years ago. I would see this thing, and what's interesting to me is I wonder if you could put this up today. because I'm not saying that everything in old should be put up, but there was the people who put this up in 1970, whatever it was, thought that this was okay to do, and
Well, I think you should put up pieces of art that reflect history or reflect artists' work. If you're gonna put up Dolly, right, you're probably gonna put up his melting clocks,
sure,
right? Because it's interesting. One, two, you're gonna be able to at least introduce Dolly as an artist,
right,
which is important,
right,
and then you can kind of stem from there, continue down that path.
well, and then the other thing you should put up is you should put up things that encourage the children to investigate, and then those should be models for their behavior. So, I mean, you can put all sorts of things in front of the children, and you ought to put things in front of them that encourage them to do those things that you think are good. Dolly's melting clocks may not be, I'm not sure it's an example of a behavior, but there's something to be said, like, but you should know that it's there, and you should know how to talk about that, and you should know what it represents, and then you can use that as a launching point for something else. So
yeah, you talk about literary and or artistic themes,
right,
because those are important.
right. Are we doing that in school now? Do you think? Do you know? It's a while. You got kids coming up getting ready for school, aren't you?
That's all right. I'm sure Jamie and I can lead them the right way.
All right, we'll get a point in the right direction. Anyway, they will get a picture. They will get a print of the Angelus for Christmas sometime, and they will know that painting. That was Grandpa's favorite painting, is what they'll say, as they go through, as they help clear out our estate someday. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, do you want the painting?"
Nah, that's okay.
That's where you could take it. All right, that's great, Harry. As always, it is wonderful to speak with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. Encouraging everybody to find something good in their lives, maybe a piece of artwork that really speaks to them.
And if there's something you'd like us to talk about, let us know. We have something coming up that we think we're very excited about. But we're coordinating the pieces yet, and so that will be coming up sometime in the next couple of weeks.
It might even be the precipice or crown jewel of the buff.
It might
thus
be thus far, but it's like it's a hill. What do they say? Better than yesterday and half as good as tomorrow, right?
Local maximum kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So, all right, that is it for today. We ask you to seek the good, to be the good, and to spread the good, and to enjoy the adventure of life.